Real Madrid are ready to say goodbye to Rodrygo. Has he already found his next club? Osimhen has reportedly agreed to Al Hilal's offer. Liverpool have finally pushed through with BARÇA. Florian Wirtz is on his way to the Premier League. Manchester United are putting 60 million on the table for Gyökeres. Is the deal already done? Alright, here comes my mandatory 5-second begging segment. You know the drill. 600 likes and I'll be able to buy myself another jar of coffee, just to stay awake while editing. Now that the formalities are out of the way, let's dive into the juiciest transfer rumours. Arsenal have decided that modesty just isn't their thing anymore and set their sights on none other than Real Madrid's very own Rodrygo. And let me tell you, this isn't just some tabloid rumour, it's a genuine no-joke interest, according to multiple insiders. Let's break it down. Arsenal. For 2 seasons running, we've all watched the same heartbreaking story unfold. The Gunners steam towards the title like a runaway train, only to run out of steam right at the finish line. Beautiful football, slick passing moves, Saka and Martinelli tearing up the flanks, but when crunch time hits, they just don't have that one killer in the box to slam the ball home. No finisher, no ruthless striker to put the exclamation mark on it. Enter the new sporting director, Andrea Berta, a guy who clearly didn't show up just to hunt for bargain deals. Along with Arteta, he's flipping through his shortlist, and right at the top of the dream winger forward column sits Rodrygo's name. And honestly, the logic is solid. This guy is a Swiss army knife. Stick him on the left, the right, or up front, and he'll cause problems everywhere. He's only 24, but already has bags of top-level experience, trophies galore, and, crucially, he's still hungry for more. Now, picture this trio: Martinelli, Rodrygo, Saka. That's a Premier League defender's nightmare. Pace, skill, unpredictability. It's the stuff of dreams. You know what's not a dream? Opening up my YouTube analytics and seeing that 70% of you watching this aren't subscribed. That's like sneaking into the stadium, grabbing the best seat, munching on a hot dog, and leaving without ever buying a ticket. Come on guys, I'm not a ticket inspector, but a little conscience wouldn't hurt. That subscribe button down below, it doesn't bite. Promise. Tried and tested. Back to Madrid. What about Rodrygo himself? Why would he want to leave a club where he's a fan favourite and a hero? The answer's got 6 letters: MBAPPE. With the Frenchman arriving at Real, things are getting crowded. Vinicius, Bellingham, and now Kylian. Someone's going to end up on the bench or see a big drop in minutes. Rodrygo's at his peak, and he knows it. Does he want to just be another part of a star-studded rotation, or the main man in a top club built around him? That's the real question, and honestly, it feels rhetorical. But listen, Rodrygo's not the type to throw a tantrum and demand a move. According to the latest reports from Spain, he's taking a pause and waiting for a serious chat with Xabi Alonso. The Brazilian wants to look Alonso in the eye and hear exactly what role he'll have in the new project. Is he a key player or just first off the bench? And Arsenal are lying in wait, ready to pounce depending on how that meeting goes. If Rodrygo feels his future in Madrid looks shaky, that's when the Gunners will make their move. Now let's talk money, the awkward part. You know the saying, it doesn't hurt to want? Well, Real Madrid aren't fools. They're not letting their asset go for peanuts. First, there were whispers of 70 million euros, supposedly Arsenal's opening offer. Sounds serious, but that was probably just the appetizer. Latest updates from Sky Sports and other top sources say Madrid won't even pick up the phone unless there's at least 90 to 100 million euros on the table. And don't forget the players' wages. Rumour has it, previous talks hit a wall because Rodrygo wanted something close to £300,000 a week. That's superstar money, even by Premier League standards. So here's my take. On the one hand, I can totally picture it. Rodrygo in an Arsenal shirt, tearing up the league and finally delivering that long-awaited title. He's the missing piece, a born winner, battle-hardened in Champions League showdowns. But on the other hand, 100 million euros and sky-high wages. That's a massive risk, a proper all-in bet. Is Arsenal, usually so careful with their finances, really ready to go that far? This is a real test of the club's ambition, so right now, everything's up in the air. The interest is real. The need for this player, obvious. Rodrygo's willingness to move, if the right conditions are met, is very likely. But it all comes down to 2 things: that conversation with Alonso and the monster price tag Real Madrid have set. What do you think? Is Arsenal actually ready to smash their piggy bank for a transfer like this? Is Rodrygo worth 100 million? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. There's drama brewing at Barcelona again, and not just any drama, but a full-blown goalkeeper soap opera. It looks like Marc-André ter Stegen could be about to slam the door on his way out. The very same guy who's carried Barça for years is suddenly on the edge of being pushed out. And who would have thought the whole story would revolve around Joan Garcia? Yeah, let that sink in. It all started when the club suddenly shifted their attention from a priority left winger to a young keeper from Espanyol. What even was that? It's as if Hansi Flick decided to reshuffle the entire deck of goalkeepers. But here's the thing. Rumour has it, this move isn't just random. There's been an internal conflict. And not just silent sulking, a direct call from ter Stegen to Deco himself, saying, "I'm ready, put me in for the return leg against Inter." But Flick's staff weren't interested in sentiment. Szczesny had been solid, and after such a long layoff, ter Stegen just didn't have the match sharpness. On paper, it makes sense. But when ter Stegen found out he'd be left on the bench, he straight up refused to travel with the squad to Milan. Seriously? Not exactly captain behavior, is it? Nobody got it. The dressing room, the staff, everyone showed up to support the team, even those who weren't playing. But ter Stegen, he stayed home, training solo. At that point, it wasn't about fitness anymore, it was about the atmosphere, the team. And that's when things really snapped. As if that wasn't enough, ter Stegen gave an interview to the German press, insisting he's 100% fit. Basically, Flick is wrong, I'm ready. Meanwhile, Szczesny handled it like a pro, said he'd step aside as soon as Marc was truly match fit. But you know how it is, when tension's brewing inside the club, even the right words hit differently. Now let's take a step back. Barça go out and sign Joan Garcia, a kid from Espanyol, and this isn't just any transfer, it's a statement. It says, "We're ready to move on without you, Marc." Word is, the club is already considering the golden parachute option. Pay ter Stegen a year's wages and say, "Thanks and good luck. Contract till 2028. Forget it." Barça want a quiet but calculated exit. Hand him some cash, send him on his way. But the big question, where to next? In his interviews, Marc hints he wants to stay. Barça is home after all. But is it really home anymore? Can a captain afford to sulk like this? Sure, it hurts to be left out. Sure, after injury, you want to prove yourself. But you're the leader, the face of the club. Instead of backing the squad, it's distance, solo training sessions, and subtle digs at the coaching staff in the press. Feels like another high-profile exit is on the horizon. So, here's the real question. If all this turns out to be true, would you keep ter Stegen at the club, or is it time to say goodbye? Drop your take in the comments. And stick around. The next segment is going to be just as heated. There's another transfer bombshell looming on the horizon, and this time the headline act is Victor Osimhen. The Nigerian goal machine, who just tore it up in Turkey, looks completely fed up with Napoli's endless drama. Saudi side, Al Hilal, have already come waving their bottomless bags of cash right under his nose. And seriously, how would you react if someone offered you 35 million euros a year, plus juicy bonuses on top? Anyone would be out the door with their bags packed before the pen hit the contract. And Osimhen didn't take much convincing. He basically said, "Guys, I'm all yours." But hold up, Al Hilal fans, it's not all done and dusted just yet. There's a little snag, or should I say, a 5 million euro snag, that's holding up the deal. Picture this. The Saudis are offering 70 million euros, but Napoli are digging their heels in at 75 million euros and refusing to budge. It's like a street market in Naples, not a high-stakes football negotiation. Which begs the question, Napoli, what are you even doing? Instead of letting the guy leave in peace, we're back to the same old stress and haggling over loose change. It's been obvious for a while now that things between Osimhen and the club are, let's say, less than ideal. But wait, the best part is still to come. If Al Hilal cough up those extra 5 million euros, they're getting an absolute beast up front. Just think about it, 37 goals last season in Turkey. And there's more. If the Saudis move quickly, they can register Osimhen for the Club World Cup. What does that mean? It means Victor could be lighting up the international stage very soon, proving he's not just another shiny toy for the sheikhs, but a genuine world-class striker who can destroy any defense. And here's a little question for you. Napoli, are you really about to repeat last summer's disaster, dragging out the negotiations until you lose a key player for nothing? Déjà vu, anyone? This time, though, it looks like Osimhen's mind is made up. He knows exactly where he's going. And let's be real, it's a lot warmer and a whole lot richer over there. So, what do you think? Was Napoli right to drag this out for so long, or is it time to just let the guy go and let him finally cash in? And now we've made it to our old new friend, Alejandro Grimaldo. And once again, there's so much buzz around him, you'd think he's a Ballon d'Or winning striker, not a left-back. According to Mundo Deportivo, Barcelona are back in the race, apparently deciding it's time to play the classic game, bring back one of their own, and pretend they never made a mistake letting him go in the first place. But honestly, why are Barça after this guy? Let's be real. The left side of their defense has been, well, questionable at best. Sure, Alejandro Balde looks like a promising young talent, but in big games, he's about as reliable as rural Wi-Fi. Grimaldo, on the other hand, is a battle-tested warrior. He's been through it all. La Masia, the grind at Benfica, and now shining at Bayer Leverkusen. He scores, he assists, he runs all game, basically does the job properly, unlike some others we could mention. But here's where it gets both hilarious and intriguing. Real Madrid have now joined the queue for him. That's right, a full-blown transfer war is brewing. Imagine it, Barça versus Real, El Clásico. For a left-back. Who saw that coming? Used to be, they only fought over strikers and playmakers, but now we've got a heavyweight battle for the left side of defense. And Grimaldo? He's loving it. The guy's practically got 1 foot back at Camp Nou already, but of course not without a few conditions. First off, he wants a 5-year contract, which, to be fair, makes sense at his age. It's now or never. But the second demand? This one's wild. He wants a personal fitness coach written into his contract. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if tomorrow's defenders start asking for their own chef or personal masseuse. Why not? Maybe even a psychologist on match days. But all jokes aside, Grimaldo would actually be a really smart signing. He fits Barca's style perfectly, knows the club inside out, and won't be fazed working under Hansi Flick, who, by the way, is quietly building something very interesting in Catalonia right now. But don't sleep on Real Madrid. They're not amateurs either. Xabi Alonso knows Grimaldo well from their time at Bayer, and you'd bet he could convince him to head to Madrid, especially if the fee is only 18 million euros. In today's market, that's peanuts, and for a player like Grimaldo, it's an absolute bargain. So what's it going to be for Grimaldo? A comfortable homecoming to the club where he grew up, or a bold new chapter with Los Blancos? Who do you think comes out on top in this titanic battle? Barça or Real? Or maybe, just maybe, Grimaldo surprises everyone and picks a third option altogether. Jose Mourinho barely had time to unpack his bags in Istanbul before he decided not just to shake up Turkish football, but to set off some real fireworks. And his very first target, get this, is none other than Leroy Sané from Bayern Munich. And you know how the special one tries to lure the German? He doesn't bother with the beauty of the Bosphorus or fancy tactical talk. Nope. Jose, in pure pragmatic style, reportedly barges in and throws an offer on the table that'll make your jaw drop. 15 million euros a year, net. That's insane money for the Turkish league. Fenerbahce basically saying, money? Not a problem. You want a star? Here you go. But hey, this is Turkey. Nothing ever comes easy. Naturally, Fener's arch-rivals, Galatasaray, show up right on cue. They're not just watching either, they jump in with their own offer. Smaller sure, about 10 to 12 million euros a year, but still, huge money. And now, the Istanbul derby is kicking off before the season even starts, right in the transfer market. Can you imagine that battle for Sané's signature? And where there's big money, who else is lurking? Right, our friends from Saudi Arabia. They haven't officially entered the race yet, but you can bet they're quietly sipping tea in the background, eyeing those 15 million euro figures and thinking, how cute, maybe we'll add another zero, just for fun. Their silence is scarier than any formal offer. If the Saudis step in, European clubs will just have to watch from the sidelines. Speaking of Europe, not everyone's sleeping there either. Arsenal, for example, are quietly watching from the corner. No way they'll throw that kind of cash around. Different philosophy. They see Sané not as an expensive toy, but as the missing piece in Arteta's attack. For Arsenal, Sané would be the perfect fit. But how do you convince a player to pick your football project when someone else is waving a stack of cash the size of a phone book? That's the million-dollar question. And then there's Bayern. You think they're just sitting back? No chance. In Munich, people are scrambling. They've put a new contract on the table to keep Sané. At first, it was lower base pay but bigger bonuses. Sané wasn't impressed. Now they've flipped it. Higher base, fewer bonuses. They want everything sorted before the Club World Cup, so it doesn't become a distraction. And at the heart of it all stands Leroy Sané, a guy with a true king's choice in his hands. Join Mourinho and become an icon at Fenerbahce, jump into the madness of Galatasaray, take the financial retirement plan in Saudi at 29, head back to the Premier League and fight for trophies with Arsenal, or stay at home in Bayern where everything's familiar? Honestly, I think this whole saga is a test of Sané's ambitions. If he chooses Turkey or Saudi Arabia, well, it's all about the money, and the top-level career is pretty much over. If he chooses Arsenal, that's a real challenge. And if he stays at Bayern, he's betting he can still be a leader at one of the greatest clubs in the world. It's a true transfer soap opera, and we'll be watching every episode. Let me know in the comments, where do you think Sané ends up? Liverpool have decided to smash the transfer records and go all in. Seriously, all in. And yes, you heard that right. At the center of all this is none other than the rising star of German football, Florian Wirtz. The guy everyone's calling the mini Iniesta of Germany, some even whisper he's better, recently came out and admitted that his heart is set on playing at Anfield. And honestly, after hearing that, did you really think Arne Slot and the Liverpool board could resist? Of course not. They've decided to truly test the owners' wallets and have just come in with a third bid for Leverkusen's attacking midfielder. Think about these numbers, £113 million. That's what the Reds are ready to put down for a single player. And that's still not the end of the story. Leverkusen, who clearly know what they're doing, checked the current market for top talent and set their price at £126 million. Can you blame them? Appetite grows when Liverpool, Manchester City and Bayern are all at the table. But the German side isn't being greedy. Negotiations are actually moving forward, slowly but surely, and both parties are closing the gap. And right now, it honestly feels like we're just a heartbeat away from the biggest deal of the year, maybe even the decade, in English football. Wirtz is just too good to let slip away. Remember last season, 10 goals, 12 assists in just 25 games. This isn't your talented prospect who scores once every leap year. This is a genuine monster, a true football genius. And as for personal terms, Wirtz hasn't just agreed. He's basically already moved to England in his mind, picturing his name roaring around Anfield. And this number, guys, just let it sink in. £113 million plus bonuses, that's the kind of money that would make even Pogba and Grealish start sweating in their seats. Sure, it's not cheap, but come on. Does money really matter when you're making a statement like this for the title and European domination? Besides, Wirtz knows exactly what he's signing up for. Slot is promising a brand new tactical system, European nights are on the horizon, and we've all seen what this Liverpool side is capable of. So there's really just one question left. When do we get the official announcement? ESPN, Sky Germany, Kicker, Fabrizio Romano, they're all saying it's just a matter of days. And from the sounds of it, Wirtz already has his red shirt ready to go. So, what do you think? Will this be the blockbuster transfer of the summer? Or can City or Bayern still pull something out of the bag? Let me know in the comments, because for me, this already looks like the sensation of the season. There's a whiff of money and big dreams in the air at Old Trafford again. Manchester United, who honestly seemed resigned to just being silent spectators every transfer window, are suddenly ready to blow up the headlines. And how? Word is they're preparing to swoop in and snatch away one of Europe's hottest strikers, right from under Arsenal's nose. I'm talking about the Swedish goal machine at Sporting Lisbon, Victor Gyökeres. Just take a second to process these numbers. The guy's scored 97 goals in 102 games over 2 seasons in Portugal. Seriously, what is that? That's career mode stats on EAFC when you're playing on beginner and just messing with the AI. And for this monster, United, now led by their new financial guru, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, are reportedly ready to slap down a casual £60 million. For United, that's basically like picking up groceries at this point. Remember, we've seen them splash out way more before. But here comes a dose of reality with all that sugar they're feeding us. Gyökeres is the undisputed king of Portugal, no doubt, but he's already 27 and has never played in any of the top 5 European leagues. Not once. His only taste of English football was in the Championship with Coventry. And with all due respect, the Portuguese league is not the Premier League, where every defender is a starving pit bull looking to take your legs off. So here's the big question. Is the Swedish hitman about to become another expensive tourist at Old Trafford? It's a massive risk. But do you know who's pushing hardest for this move? Who's basically begging United's bosses to sign him? Ruben Amorim. He's the one who turned Gyökeres into the monster he is now. He's telling United, "Get me Gyökeres. I know exactly what to do with him." Honestly, it's a genius move. United have reportedly already made contact with Sporting and they've made it clear. Put £60 million on the table and he's yours. So now United need to act fast. Probably time to offload some deadwood to free up space and funds. So what's the bottom line? United are trying to buy not just a wild card, but a wild card with step-by-step instructions from Amorim himself. Gyökeres isn't some fancy technician. He's a tank, a bulldozer, charging straight through defenses. He doesn't overthink. He just smashes the ball first, checks where it went after. He's brilliant at holding up play and waiting for teammates. It's exactly the kind of raw power United have been missing up front, especially alongside young Højlund. And while you're debating whether this is power or just another expensive flop, let me hit you with a quick reality check. Nearly 87% of you are watching this channel incognito. Is this some sort of conspiracy? Are you Arsenal spies secretly keeping tabs on our transfer plans? Come on, own up. Hit that subscribe button. Let's show there's more of us here than Sir Jim Ratcliffe's got money. So, what do you think? Is this the signing that'll finally put United back in the title race, or just another pricey bust? Will Gyökeres become the next Ibrahimovic, ripping through the league, or another Weghorst? Lots of running, not much else. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to know what you think. PSG have just lifted the big-eared trophy, pulled off the treble in France, and guess what's the first thing they do? Put their #1 goalkeeper, Gianluigi Donnarumma, up for sale. And the price tag? Just €40 million. 40 million for a guy who carried them through the Champions League knockouts and is still only 26. And the reason, as always, couldn't be more predictable. Money. Turns out, Gigio wants a salary somewhere around €10 million a year, and PSG, the same club that's been throwing cash around for years like it's confetti, have suddenly decided to tighten the purse strings. Donnarumma's contract runs until 2026, but after getting burned by the whole Mbappe saga, the owners are taking zero chances now. The message is clear. Either sign a new contract on our terms, or we sell you right now instead of letting you walk for free next year. There's logic in that, sure, but honestly, it just feels like panic. Donnarumma himself? Like any modern player, he's a master of football diplomacy in interviews. I'm happy in Paris, the fans love me, I've found balance, but maybe one day I'll return to Italy. Classic. Let me translate from football speak. Guys, I'm happy to stay, unless my agent can't squeeze the right number out of you. In that case, my bags are packed and I'm all ears for offers. By the way, his agent's already been spotted at Inter's offices. Coincidence? Yeah, right. And now, the big hitters are circling. Real Madrid? Well, Lunin's proven he can step up and Courtois is still world class. Do they really need another top keeper with a huge salary? Maybe just for the collection. Bayern? Now that's interesting. Neuer isn't getting any younger and the Germans love a bargain, especially when it's world-class quality at a discount. But the juiciest storyline? That's Inter. Just imagine, a Milan Academy product who left the club in scandal, coming back to Italy, but joining their biggest rivals. Milan fans would absolutely lose their minds. Oh, and there was a rumour about Manchester United, but Donnarumma's agent shut that down quick, calling it pure fantasy. Fair enough. United have enough problems with Onana. As it is, they don't need another expensive keeper right now. So what's really going on here? PSG are trying to prove they're finally getting smart. No more letting players call the shots. Donnarumma and his agent are playing their own game, pushing for the best deal. And the top clubs? They're just waiting to see who blinks first. Honestly, I think that €40 million is just a smokescreen to put pressure on the player. But if PSG are genuinely willing to let him go for that, it might just be the steal of the summer window. What do you think? Are PSG bluffing, or are they actually ready to offload one of the best keepers in the world over a few million? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Where do you see Gigio ending up? Honestly, who would have thought that the world's most expensive goalkeeper would one day become the subject of transfer rumours for literal pocket change? That's KEPA Arrizabalaga for you, a guy Chelsea once paid £72 million for, and now, according to Fabrizio Romano, he could end up at Arsenal for just €5. Not million euros, £5 million. How does that even happen? Here's the real kicker. Arsenal aren't looking at KEPA to battle Raya for the #1 spot every week. This is all about having a solid, no-nonsense backup. Classic, pragmatic move from Arteta. Raya's our starter, but just in case, God forbid, we need someone with experience who won't lose his head against Man City. And say what you will about KEPA, but he's been through fire, water, and the Chelsea circus, a club where you can lose your sanity after a month. This isn't the same nervous wreck KEPA that fans remember from his early years in England. Sure, he let in some absolute screamers, especially when Chelsea's defense just disappeared and he was left locking up the goal all by himself, with no lock, by the way. But now Kepa's on a different vibe. After his loan spell at Bournemouth, he didn't become a headline hero, but he didn't mess things up either. Just did his job, kept things steady, nothing fancy. That's real growth for a keeper. When you stop being a showman and just get the job done, save after save, no drama. That's exactly what Arsenal need. Not another show, but pure stability and reliable cover. Meanwhile, Chelsea have clearly given up on the idea of building around KEPA. It's easier to let him go for a symbolic fee than to keep another suitcase without a handle, a guy you can't throw away, but really can't carry around either. 5 million for a keeper with this much experience? That's not even a gamble. It's more like, let's just take him, might come in handy, especially considering most backup goalies are either academy kids or someone with barely any track record. And here you get a guy who's played Europa League finals, Champions League nights, handled insane pressure, and worked at a top club, all for the price of a backup left back. The only real question is KEPA actually okay with sitting on the bench as Raya's understudy? His nerves might be stronger than before, but you know he's still got ambitions. If he's willing to accept that backup role, then credit to Arsenal. Honestly, this could be one of the smartest and most underrated deals of the summer, if it actually happens. So, Arsenal fans, how do you feel about this? Instead of a random nobody as your backup, you get a keeper who survived Chelsea and didn't break. Some might say, boring. Not a headline signing, but I call it a smart, low-key upgrade that could pay off big over a long season. Anyone got KEPA stories? Drop your thoughts. What are you expecting from this comeback to the Premier League?